This message is for parents, administrators, teachers, youth, counselors, social workers, mentors, anyone who has a relationship working with youth, children, or kids. I come here today to address some of the issues that are very disturbing with the crime throughout the country. Too many young men and women are dying from guns. Too many young men and women are making bad choices. Too many of the young men and women are ending up in cemeteries. And at some point in time, we must address these issues. My name is Tony Roberts. I'm a graduate of Morgan State University. I have a PhD when it comes to streets, life, and survival. Been through it all. I worked in Charles H. Hickey School for Juvenile Young Men, Milford Mill Academy, Newtown High School, Catonsville Alternative, Woodlawn, the Community College of Baltimore. And I've worked with the Baltimore City Police Bridge Program, giving back, working with the youth. My mission is to help save lives and help these young men and women make a difference. That was the reason why I wrote this book, Pause, Process, and Proceed. This book is a manual to help the youth and the younger generation make wiser decisions and choices. This is a book that's needed all over the country, in all of the schools, because this book tackles all type of scenarios. Many times, we always talk about how we must prepare kids for sports. When you prepare a kid for sports, you take them out, you train them, you buy him nice cleats and everything, and he's doing push-ups, getting him prepared to be able to perform on the field or perform on the basketball court. When do we take the time to prepare our kids to be prepared for life? Because of all the games that you play, life is the most dangerous one, and it's a game that everybody must play. See, if you don't play basketball, you don't have to play. You get to say, it's not my sport. Same thing with football, soccer, whatever. Somebody tell me when you get a chance to say, I don't want to play life. That's the one game we all must play. And in playing that game, there are no rules. There are no stereotypes. Anyone can win. Anyone can lose. And when I say win, I mean do everything the right way and become successful. Have a family, giving back. And when I say lose, end up in the graveyard, end up in prison. The question is, are you prepared? Are you ready to deal with life? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Parents, teachers, administrators, are we doing everything we possibly can do to prepare these kids for life? Life is more than just getting good grades. Life is more than just going to college and graduating. Life is so serious, we have to think about the mental, the trauma. All of these things play a part in life. What are we doing to help these kids become successful? This book has a bunch of scenarios. And at the end of every scenario, there are always a minimum of 5 questions to ask you. How would you handle this situation? What would you do in this situation? I'm going to talk about a scenario that's not in my book. I'm going to talk about a young man that I know personally, good friend of mine, grew up in West Baltimore. This young man had an opportunity to go to college to play Division I and go on to play in the NBA. He had a scenario, and he took matters in his own hands. See, this book, Pause, Process, and Proceed, the title says it all. Before we do anything, pause, stop, process. How do I handle this situation? What do I do in this situation? And if I do this or that, what is the outcome? Then I must proceed. Do I do the right thing or do I do the wrong thing? The young man I'm talking about, those from West Baltimore know him as Greedy. This young man decided to go get a firearm and shoot somebody and end up spending 22 years of his life in prison. This young man didn't get an opportunity to go D1. He didn't get an opportunity to go to the pros. But what this young man did get an opportunity to do was turn his life around. I'm so proud of this young man because after spending 22 years of his young life in prison, this man came home. He wasn't bitter. He knew what he had to do. He got a job. This young man is taking care of his children and his grandchildren. But what if this book was around then? See, sometimes we are the example that make these young kids want to be like us. See, growing up, everybody wants to get money. Everybody wants to be that guy or that girl. But is it worth it? Is it worth it? Ask yourself that question. Pause, process, proceed. There are many things that I've done in my life where I didn't pause. I didn't process. I went straight to proceed. And I'm paying for it today. Because sometimes people will never forget your past. It will always come back to haunt you. That's why this book is so important. You have to make great decisions. I had a scenario. My son was murdered. No one wants to lose a child. And of course, everybody thinks about get back, revenge. I didn't attend my son's funeral. I couldn't stand to look at my son in that casket because I felt like I let my son down. I thought about all the things I did in my life that I got away with. But sometimes your children pay for your sins. Think about that when you're thinking about making choices. And then I had to get real with myself. Because see, my son was 26 years of age. So regardless, if I chose to go out here and do something stupid, tell me, would it bring him back? What about my daughter who needs me? She's a little girl. Me trying to revenge my son's death or murder, is that going to bring my son back? How can I be there for my daughter if I don't pause and process? Think about this, man. What are you doing? You're not a little boy. You're a grown man. You need to make a decision that you can live with. That's what you have to do. Pause, process, proceed. Ladies and gentlemen, young fellas, I'm not preaching to you. I'm not trying to disrespect you. All I'm trying to do is bring awareness to your life to help you make better choices and decisions. I don't want another young man or woman to spend 22 years of their life in prison. I don't want you to be sentenced to life. It's not worth it. I'd rather see you out here doing something significant, making an impact, giving back, helping the next generation of these young kids out here who need you. I challenge all the OGs out here who been down that road, who know what it's like to sit in them prisons, who know what it's like to make bad choices. Pull up the younger generation, man. Ask them what they're doing with their self. Educate them. Give them game. Because at the end of the day, survival is what it's about. The game of life is the hardest game you'll ever play. Pause, process, proceed. This is a must read. Any young person, 12, 13, 17, 18, 21, 22. This is good for mothers and fathers. You can read the scenarios with your kid. See what they answer. See how they answer the situations. See what they would do in those situations. And it will give you an opportunity to see how your kid is really thinking. I'm tired of seeing too many of the younger generation going to prison for life. I'm tired of seeing mothers burying their loved ones and the young ones. We have to do better. Everybody, peace and blessings. Have a blessed day. Order you a copy of Pause, Process, and Proceed by Tony Roberts on Amazon. I'm always going to say I appreciate the love. I'm going to do everything in my power to keep giving back. And I'm going to keep trying to be an example for the younger generation. We all can change. We all can make a difference. Peace and blessings.